All right, so let me break it down for you. This wild weather pattern just does not want to quit. We're still locked into some serious severe weather, not just today, but tomorrow too. And it's even going to hang on a bit longer as it slides down into southern Florida. Now, right behind all that, we've got a cold front pushing through, and behind that is the potential for another strong storm we've got to keep our eyes on. So yeah, we get a little break, but that next round could be trouble. Now, earlier this morning, we already had some strong storms roll through. One even spun up a tornado that did some damage, took out one home and knocked down some trees over near Mississippi Highway 28. Winds were clocked at 80 MP, and we had hail about 1.5 inches in diameter. On top of that, straight line winds are tearing through Mississippi and heading into southern and a bit of northern Alabama. This whole setup is part of a linear event. Basically, a line of storms that's dragging strong winds all across the region. It stretches out through northern Georgia too, under a severe thunderstorm watch with 70 mph wind gusts and more of that large hail expected. The line is going to keep diving south throughout the morning through southern Alabama into Georgia and sticking around the Florida panhandle. Then tomorrow, that severe weather threat spreads even more. We're talking about tornado chances climbing across the southeast, potentially reaching all the way to the Carolina coast and even further down into parts of Florida. These discrete storm cells could spin up a few more tornadoes, so we're not done yet. So again, severe weather today, more coming tomorrow. And that cold air is still surging in through Wednesday and Thursday. And yeah, by mid-April, another cold front is lining up that could fire up another strong storm system. Counts. We've already seen a ton of rain and flooding, not to mention wind damage and even some landslides, those brown markers on the map, like the ones in Arkansas and West Virginia. That's where the ground gave way, tornado-wise. We had 5 reports already. Mississippi's been through a rough stretch overnight and this morning, and it's not done yet. But Arkansas leading the power outage count right now with 70,000 out. Michigan's close behind with 50,000, then Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, and it's still growing. When I refresh the numbers, even Texas and more of Alabama were getting in on the action. Over 250,000 people without power. Today's tornado threat is in that 2 to 5 range. I'll show you the cities and states that are risk. The wind threat is higher, 5 to 15, and I've got those cities and states lined up for you as well. No hail threat for today, but according to the National Weather Service, we are dealing with wind damage and an isolated tornado threat across parts of the southeast. Also, there's a chance for marginally severe wind gusts in the southern Appalachians and parts of southern Virginia. Now, when we look at the lower level winds, it's still cranking up pretty good. Strong winds aloft are hanging around all afternoon and will fire back up tonight and overnight. Tomorrow's setup along the East Coast keeps that tornado threat going because of the changing wind direction with height. It's giving those storms the fuel to stay strong all day and into the night. As the system pushes east, it'll hit the Carolinas and Virginia while the Northeast sees some snow and freezing rain. Tomorrow night, we'll watch that line of storms move off the Carolina coast by 6 or 7 p.m., and then it starts pressing into Florida by Tuesday. Then we look at significant tornado parameters. So you can see that threat stretches from northern Georgia across Alabama, into South Carolina. Basically, these cells are getting flung around a high pressure system, keeping the instability in place. Later tonight into tomorrow morning, those cells will be active again, starting in Florida and pushing through Georgia, the Carolinas, and even into Virginia by tomorrow night. On Tuesday, that system continues south through Florida. Tomorrow's tornado threat stays at 2 to 5. And again, I've got the cities and states at risk for you. There's also a wind threat tomorrow. Same thing. I'll show you who's in the zone for that. By Tuesday, Florida's in the hot seat with that 5 severe weather risk. Rain-wise, the southeast is looking at 2 to 4 inches with flooding concerns stretching from the Carolinas to Virginia and even parts of the Delmarva region. Today's flood threat includes marginal risk across Virginia and a slight risk extending into Kentucky, West Virginia, and Western Virginia. But Alabama, especially between Montgomery and Birmingham, is under the gun for moderate level flash flooding due to training storms. After that cold air punches in, things get interesting. We're watching another storm system with some weak rotation potential for Wednesday into Thursday. It might bring snow across the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. Then another front sweeps through, potentially sparking a coastal low that could trigger more severe weather by the weekend. And right after that, there's another storm lining up from the west, traveling across the lower 48, could become something big. We've got a little time before that one hits, but the pattern is clearly active. So after this current storm cycle, the cold air hangs around for a few days. Then we might see that snowstorm midweek and possibly another system toward next weekend. Now, as far as temperatures go, y'all, it's cold out there this morning, freezing. Temps pretty much everywhere from the central states to the South Gulf Coast is hanging in the 60s and 70s, but it's going to get cooler there too. This cold is coast to coast, and in some of the higher elevations, we're talking 20s and even teens. Tomorrow, that cold air digs deeper across the central U.S. Expect 40s and 50s in the morning. Temps will climb each day, but it stays chilly up north. Tuesday morning is going to be the coldest of the week. We're looking at 40s in the south and 20s, maybe even teens. Through the Great Lakes and Northeast, northern Florida might even feel that chill when you step outside. Wind chills are going to make it feel even worse. This morning, some areas are feeling like they're in the 20s, even down into Mexico, but the real punch comes on Tuesday. Wind chills will make it feel like single digits in the Midwest and Ohio Valley. And even if you're in the 40s, it'll feel a lot colder. Wednesday and Thursday still stay cold. The blast lightens up a bit before retreating going into the weekend. But that's when we might see another system stirring. Okay, Wednesday and Thursday, a snowstorm could develop in the Midwest and Great Lakes with 1 to 3, maybe even 2 to 4 inches of snow. That low could spin up off the Carolinas and ride the coast, wrapping some snow in behind it and possibly strengthening. Looks like we're headed into a turning point, folks. The East Coast might be in the crosshairs as we get into the weekend. Higher elevations in the Northwest might see some snow, but the bigger story is what's setting up from Wisconsin through the Great Lakes and into the interior Northeast. Depending on which model you look at EuroCFS, the snow totals vary, but both are pointing to something we need to watch. Switching over to the GFS model for comparison, we're seeing some similar themes, especially that snow in the Northeast and another system around the 14th or 15th. But there are some differences too, like the position of the lows and how quickly things move. GFS also hints at another system around the 20th, which could bring severe weather to the Midwest and plains. Again, we're talking long range here, so definitely take it with a grain of salt. Looking at total precipitation, we're seeing more rain for the Northwest, a good bit for the plains and Midwest, and still above normal rainfall for the East. So no big surprises there. Presp anomalies show below normal precipitation across most of the West, except the Northwest, drier conditions for the Rockies and much of the plains, but above normal chances in the deep South and up the East Coast. It's a noticeable shift from the relentless storminess we had in March. Now, let's take a quick look at the Storm Prediction Center outlooks for today. We've got a marginal risk, level 1, stretching through the deep South Carolinas and into central Virginia. There's also a slight risk, level 2, across parts of the deep South where isolated severe storms could pop up. Just your classic springtime setup. Tomorrow, that risk continues in the southeast, and we even see some thunderstorm chances pop up in the northwest. Nothing too wild, though. By day 3, things really quiet down. Just a general thunderstorm risk near the Rockies and marginal risk out in South Florida. That's it. No widespread severe weather. Finally, after the stretch we've been through, I think we could all use that breather. So yeah, that's the outlook for now. We've got some quiet days ahead, maybe even 5 to 7 days with limited severe weather threats. That would be so welcome after what we've seen lately. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like. It really helps out. Drop a comment below and let me know what the weather's been like in your area. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you never miss a daily update. I'll see you guys in the next one.